Hey everyone, this is Shayna from wordofmouth.org, and I'm here with wordofmouth.org crash course speaker, Bob Pearson. Bob, can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Sure. The book I wrote it's called Pre-Commerce, and the reason I named it that, is that less than 1% of the time that people spend in their entire lives online is actually making a transaction. 99% of the time they spend online is learning, socializing, browsing, getting support, and that's where word of mouth plays a huge role. And I think it's one of the more undervalued things that occurs in the commerce process is actually what's happening from the WOM perspective.
Yeah, so what are the top 3 lessons people can learn from your book?
Well, there's a couple. There's a whole bunch. But I mean, one of them is that you can identify exactly who drives share of conversation online for your brand. And you can identify exactly who the sources are for those influencers. So if you know that, you now know who the folks are who are most actively sharing your story, and quite frankly, you can see who may be more active in propelling that story further. In other words, who's creating word of mouth. So that's one aspect. The second is that you can actually do analytics to see exactly what the social media mix is. So in other words, where are your customers really hanging out? Are they hanging out more in these forums, blogs, Twitter, and YouTube versus something else? And I'd say, the third really gets into the power of search, because when we think of word of mouth, we always think of people physically speaking to other people. But one of the most powerful things going on the planet now is actually how you hear a story of a brand through a search engine that is occurring as a result of people speaking and sharing content. So word of mouth is actually now being extended through the search experience in ways that we might not have thought of in the past.
Yeah. So what is your number one secret to word of mouth success?
The number one secret for WOM success is like the number one secret for really so many things in life, which is that you have to become a student of an area in order to really be good at it. It's kind of like if you're a great athlete, you don't just go play the game on Saturday and go home. You actually practice all week long. So people who want to be really good at WOM treat it like a discipline, and they actually they strip it apart and they figure out which aspects of it they have to understand. And before you know it, they're starting to understand how they can actually shape behavior, move markets, sell product, provide better support, things like that. But becoming a student of WOM is the most important thing to do.
And what is your favorite word of mouth story of all time?
That's an interesting one. I mean, there's all the ones that you'll always hear about, like we did recently. There was the advertising campaign where everyone's talking about the deodorant and all that stuff. So everyone has those kind of stories. I actually think that word of mouth is cooler when it's happening in like communities and people aren't thinking about it, like Intuit. So, Intuit has created this amazing community over the last decade where their customers are helping other customers figure out issues related to tax, as an example. And that is like day-to-day, very valuable WOM that actually helps the company and the customers. And I think that's so much more interesting to me than things that are like really sexy that may have a couple weeks where everyone talks about it, but then nothing really happens long term. So, and that's the big difference between, I think, like great WOM and viral marketing. But Intuit is the best example that I can think of like that.
Great. Well, that's all the time we have now, but you can come to the wordofmouth.org crash course in Austin on May 10th to hear more from Bob Pearson. And for one day of love, happiness, and word of mouth, go to wordofmouth.org/crash course to register.